Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into a metric that is going to completely change how you look at corporate profits. Seriously, we're cutting right through all those flashy financial headlines to focus on what actually drives your wealth. We'll be following the playbook of a highly successful, inspiring investor we'll call Diana, who uses rigorous analysis to build true financial freedom. And the absolute foundation of her strategy? That's exactly what we're covering today. So let's jump right in.
So, let's start with a quick puzzle. It perfectly shows why raw profit numbers can be, well, dangerously misleading. Imagine two companies in the exact same industry. Company A proudly announces they made $500 million in profit this year. Meanwhile, Company B announces they made $50 million. Here's the question. Which company actually had the better year? Now, if your gut reaction is Company A because, hey, $500 million is way more than $50 million, you're definitely not wrong. Big numbers feel like a big success. But as an investor, you're not exactly right either. There is a massive missing piece of context here that literally changes everything.
And here is the twist. What if I told you Company A has 10 billion shares out there in the market, while Company B only has 10 million? Let's just do the math together real quick. Company A earned $500 million. Sure, but divide that across 10 billion shares and you get exactly 5 cents of profit per share. Now think about Company B. They earned $50 million. Divided by just 10 million shares, that is $5 of profit per share. So Company B, even though they had 1/10 the total profit of Company A, actually generated 100 times more earnings for each individual shareholder. That number, earnings divided by shares, is called earnings per share, or EPS. And honestly, it's the single most important figure you need to know.
All right, moving into Section 1, the core concept, the pie versus your slice. To really wrap our heads around why this matters so much, let's look at two very different investor mindsets. First, we have Aaron. He's newer to investing and frankly gets totally distracted by those massive, record-breaking profit headlines. $1 billion in profit sounds amazing to him, so he just buys in. His instinct that profit equals good isn't wrong, but he's comparing completely different size companies the wrong way. Then we have our pro, Diana. Diana never, ever looks at an earnings report without finding the EPS first. She demands to know what her specific slice of the pie is actually worth. Because remember, when you buy a stock, you aren't buying a percentage of the total profit. You're buying 1 unit of its earnings per share. So the formula here is super straightforward. You just take the total profit after all the expenses, interest, and taxes, which we call net income, and you divide it by the total number of shares out there in the open market. Unlike a lot of financial jargon that sounds simple but is secretly a nightmare, the EPS equation is exactly what it sounds like. It tells you the exact slice of profit that belongs to each individual share you own.
Let's ground this with a real-world scenario. Say we have two competitors. Hartwell Manufacturing reports $240 million in net income with 120 million shares. Simple math, right? That's an EPS of $2 per share. Now, Crane & Cole reports only $180 million in net income, but they only have 60 million shares. That gives them an EPS of $3 per share. Our pro, Diana, immediately spots that Crane & Cole is generating 50% more earnings per share than Hartwell. It's a crucial detail Aaron completely misses because he's too busy staring at Hartwell's bigger overall profit. If you want to know who's generating more value for their owners, EPS clears that right up.
Okay, on to Section 2, the momentum, EPS over time.
Now, what takes EPS from being just a simple snapshot of today and turns it into this powerful crystal ball for the future? It's all about tracking it over time. EPS isn't just about one number in one random year. A stock price is really just investors estimating the value of all future earnings. So, if a company's EPS is climbing steadily year after year, that future stream of earnings is getting more and more valuable. And naturally, a more valuable earnings stream means a higher stock price. This isn't just a theory either. Legendary economists Eugene Fama and Kenneth French looked at decades of U.S. market data and proved that consistent per-share earnings growth is basically the strongest predictor of long-term stock appreciation. Let's see how momentum completely flips the narrative for our two companies. We know Crane & Cole has a higher EPS today at $3, right? But just think about this 4-year trend. Hartwell has grown from $1.20 to $1.50 to $1.80 and now $2. That is consistent, accelerating momentum. Crane & Cole, on the other hand, they've slid from $3.50 down to $3.20 and now $3. They are totally losing steam. Diana catches this instantly. The trajectory shows Hartwell is actually the stronger business right now. Meanwhile, Aaron is just staring at today's snapshot, completely missing Crane & Cole's downward spiral.
Which brings us to Section 3, behind the numbers, the 3 paths to growth.
So seeing that EPS is growing is great, but that's really only step 1.
Step 2 is figuring out exactly why it's growing. Because, and here's a little secret, not all growth is created equal. Diana knows there are basically 3 main paths a company can take to boost their EPS: growing net income, share buybacks, and accounting adjustments. Now, only the first one actually reflects pure, undeniable business strength. The other 2? You're going to need your detective hat for those, because they can definitely be used to cover up some underlying weaknesses.
Let's start with path number 1, growing net income. This is the holy grail. It's the best, most durable form of EPS growth. The company is actually selling more products, maybe expanding globally, or improving their profit margins. The result is a genuinely larger profit pie. So with the exact same number of slices, every single slice naturally gets bigger. When a company grows its EPS this way, it tells us the business is fundamentally stronger. That is absolutely what we want to see.
But here's something that might shock you. A company can actually generate a massive 20% jump in EPS with literally 0 actual profit growth. No way, right? Well, that's path number 2, share buybacks. Remember, the formula is net income divided by shares. So if a company makes the exact same profit but buys back and retires its own shares, the denominator gets smaller. Mathematically, the remaining slices of the pie look bigger. Now, buybacks aren't always a bad thing. If the stock is cheap, it's a smart move. But if management is secretly borrowing money, taking on heavy debt just to fund buybacks and inflate the EPS to look good, that makes the business super fragile. Always ask how they're paying for those buybacks.
And that brings us to path number 3, accounting adjustments. Net income is an accounting figure, and accounting has a lot of gray areas. This is exactly why diligent investors like Diana never just settle for the basic EPS. She always checks the diluted EPS. Basic EPS just looks at the shares trading right this second. Diluted EPS, though, it accounts for all the potential shares that could suddenly flood the market. Stuff like executive stock options or convertible bonds. Diluted EPS is almost always a lower number, and it is the much more conservative, realistic figure you should base your decisions on.
Also, companies absolutely love to report what they call adjusted EPS. They basically strip out bad, quote-unquote, one-time expenses to make the numbers look prettier. Well, researchers at Harvard Business School actually dug into thousands of companies and found a massive red flag. They proved that if a company consistently reports an adjusted EPS that is way higher than their standard, highly regulated GAAP EPS, they actually end up underperforming the market on average. Seriously, if a company constantly has these one-time emergencies they want you to ignore, it's a huge warning sign. Diana always compares the adjusted fluff to the actual GAAP numbers.
Let's wrap it all up in section 4, using EPS in practice, Diana's toolkit.
Now that we know the traps, let's build the exact toolkit you need to analyze these metrics like a pro. First off, we have to respect the limitations. As amazing as EPS is, it is backward-looking. It tells you what they earned yesterday, not what they'll earn tomorrow. Second, it's strictly an accounting metric. It doesn't track the hard cash actually entering the business. A highly profitable company on paper can absolutely still go bankrupt if it runs out of cash. And third, you need context. A price-to-earnings ratio of 10 means something completely different for a boring old bank than it does for a hyper-growth tech startup. You cannot ignore the industry context.
So, to evaluate a stock safely, use this simple 3-step framework. Step 1. Pull up that 5-year EPS trend. You want steady consistency, not just wild, random spikes. Step 2. Verify the drivers. Is this growth coming from real, durable business expansion, or are they just loading up on debt to buy back shares? And step 3, connect that EPS to the PE ratio. EPS tells you what the company earned, but the PE ratio tells you exactly what price the market is charging you to buy those earnings today. By focusing on your specific slice of the pie, you turn all those misleading profit headlines into incredibly meaningful analysis. But, this leaves us with a really critical, multi-million-dollar question for our next explainer. We know EPS is great on paper, but what actually happens when a highly profitable company quietly runs out of real cash? Next time, we are uncovering free cash flow and exploring why the pros often trust it even more than EPS. What do you do when accounting profits simply don't tell the whole story? You'll have to stick around for our next deep dive to find out. Thanks so much for joining me, and as always, keep questioning the numbers.
If this video brought you value, inspiration, or simply a smile, take a moment to support the channel by liking this video and subscribing today. Every like helps us grow, every subscription strengthens the heart of our community, and Investors Use EPS, it's what makes all of this possible.